Assalamu alaikum. We are a few minutes behind time. Inshallah, we'll get right to it, right to the session. Sheikh Ilyas, if you want to come up. Jazakallah. This session, and the previous session we had in a different room was about marriage, pre-marriage actually, for this session. Preparing for marriage is our theme or topic for the session. We have three distinguished speakers. To my right is Abdullah Kashi, as you all know, Imam of Masjid Abu Bakr. Joining us now is Sheikh Ilyas Ali, Imam of Masjid Salam in Maplewood, and also a teacher in some of the Ma'ahid within the Twin Cities. To my left is our sister Idil Khair from Toronto, Canada. Toronto, okay. She's a relationship coach. Much needed a profession, much needed field that a lot of us are not into. We need more sisters and brothers to get into these fields because we have, unfortunately, more and more relationship and family issues. So we'll get right to it. Our first speaker, Sheikh Ilyas Ali, is going to talk about, or answer the question at least, of how do you know you're ready? Are you ready for that question? Okay, Sheikh, تفضل.
الحمد لله حمدا ليس منحصرا على أيديه ما يخفى وما ظهر ثم الصلاة وتسليم المحيمن ما حبى سبا فأضر العارض المطر على الذي شاد بنيان الهدى فسما وساد كل الورى فخرا وما افتخر نبينا أحمد الهادي وعترته وصحبه كل من آوى ومن نصر والعلم لم يظفر به أحد إلا سما وبأسباب علا ظفر لا سيما أصل علم الدين إن به سعادة العبد والمنجى إذا حشر. That's what follows. So as always, as we should and as we do, we begin with the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the especially merciful. We ask Him and Him alone to send His peace and His blessings everlasting upon our dear leader, teacher, guide, mentor, and example for all of humanity and for the Muslims, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon his pure family, his good companions, and all of those who would attempt to follow in their footsteps until the day that we meet our Creator. Allahumma ameen. That's what follows. So inshallah, had the very important question put forward, and is our topic, which is, are you ready? i.e., are you ready for marriage? Are you someone who is prepared to be in a relationship where you have to share an apartment, a house, a room, children, a car, bills, etc., to fight with, argue with, get over with, enjoy happiness with, etc.? Are you ready for that? And inshallah, I'm going to try to be as brief and as straightforward as possible, because as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah wa qulu qawlan sadida. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be mindful, be fearful of Him, but not only that, but always speak the truth, a straightforward word. And I take solace in this ayah because I believe that talking about these issues and these topics in merely intellectual terms, where I would come up here and mention a lot of different ayat and a lot of different hadith that most of you probably won't remember anyways, that time is over. And it is very important for us to be very frank and direct about something that is so important that most likely most of you in this room, in some way, shape, or form, whether now or already have or will eventually get involved in, i.e. marriage. So, are you ready? This is important. One of the first things to know or to indicate to you if you're ready, very simply, is, are you responsible? And do you take care of yourself? Are you responsible, and do you take care of yourself? This is one of the first markers and indicators whenever someone comes to my office and whenever I deal with a young man or woman. That's one of the first things I ask. Not do they pray, not do they, you know what I'm saying, do other aspects of the religion. One of the first things I ask is, do you take care of yourself? And this is important because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in his glorious book, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. O you who believe, save yourselves. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. O you who believe, save yourselves and your families from a fire whose fuel is men and stones. And the shahid, the point that I want to bring out, is the first thing that Allah says is save yourselves. So, when I'm dealing with a young man who comes to the office, my office is the imam, and says, I want to get married, Sheikh, I want to know, how serious does he take that? I want to know, even for a sister, how serious does she take that? And how can you gauge whether or not you're somebody who's serious and that you're ready and that you are responsible? Is that essentially when you're at home, nobody has to tell you to take care of yourself. Your abo, your hoyo, does not have to tell you to clean your room. Your abo and your hoyo, they don't have to tell you it's time to cut your hair. Or how did you do your homework? Both brothers and sisters, that the dishes, the sink is full, did you wash the dishes? Your little brother needs to be taken care of, did you do that? Same thing, did you clean your room? Did you take care of your responsibilities? Etc. It's that simple. Do you take care of yourself? Because if you do that, if you already started taking care of yourself, then maybe it's possible that you're ready to be in a relationship where you have to take care of somebody else. And so the first thing we said, what everybody, is do you take care of yourself? Are you responsible? That's number one. And of course, this is the first step. And the second thing is, do you take care of the people around you? The second question is, do you take care of the people around you? And what do I mean by this? All right, if you're already taking care of yourself, and let's say you're 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, brother or sister, do you help take care of your parents? Do you help take care of your siblings, brothers and sisters, your younger siblings? Is that something that you do? If you can see a young man and how he deals with his parents, in terms of how his interactions with them, is he respectful? Is he mindful? Is he attentive to their needs and help take care of them? If he's even a little bit older, if he's working, do he still have his phone bill being paid by his mom and dad? Or does he say, well, you know what, Hoyo, y'all been taking care of me for 20 years, 21 years, 22 years, let me take care of you now. Or let me at least pitch in and help and do my part. Same thing, do you help with your little brothers and your sisters? And the reason why I mention this is because many times I will see brothers and sisters taking a very Western mentality and approach when it comes to dealing with their siblings and the people around him. I talked to my sister, I told her she's supposed to do this, she didn't. It's a free country, she can do whatever she wants. I don't have to follow up behind her, and I'm not my sister's keeper, I'm not my brother's keeper, that's their business, that's their problem. For example, a brother has a sister who doesn't wear hijab. He's not her dad. He's her what? He's her brother. Not does he force her and make her, but is he cognizant and aware that she's my sister, I have some type of ghira, some covetedness, some protectiveness, I care about her. I can't make her do something, but I at least talk to her and advise her and remind her. Same thing, if you have a younger brother who's doing something that may not be appropriate. You're busy, you got work, you got college classes, you have whatever, but you know your mom, she's busy, you got 4 or 5 other younger siblings. So you're like, you know what, I'm gonna advise this young one, this other brother who might be busy doing something that he knows he's not supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna help them out. I'm not gonna wait for my mom to come and tell me, could you please talk to your younger brother? Could you please talk to your younger sister? But that I do that on my own. And the same with helping with the parents and the family. That's the second thing. So that's another good marker and indicator, because if you're a father, you're going to have to take care of the wife. And then 1 + 1 eventually equals 3 in the equation of marriage. Then you're going to have to be taking care of the kids. And if somebody has to tell you that, hey, you have a 3-year-old brother, your mom might need some help with that because she's got 4 or 5 of the kids, that's not a good, and if somebody got to remind you and tell you that, that's a problem. For me, as an imam, and when people come and say, I need to get married, and I'm trying to figure out, are they ready? So we said, what was number 1, y'all? Help me out. That you take care of yourself, that you're responsible. And that's rooted in the Quran. Allah commands us to do so. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum. Even the Prophet ﷺ, he told his daughter, Fatima, he said, Ya Fatimata, ishtari nafsiki min an-nar, fala amliku laki min Allahi shay'a. He said, speaking to his beloved daughter, who he loved so much, he said, oh my daughter Fatima, purchase yourself from the hellfire. I don't have anything for you. You got to take it. When you're standing in front of Allah, you're going to be standing in front of Him alone. I'll take care of you. I'll pay for things for you. I'll guide you. But at the end of the day, you got to do the work. You got to be responsible. When you go and marry Ali, and in your household and your kids, I can only guide and advise. But at the end of the day, you got to do it. You got to be responsible. He said, speaking to his wife Aisha, Ya Aisha, ishtari nafsiki min an-nar, fala amliku laki min Allahi shay'a. He said, oh my wife, the most beloved person on the face of the earth. The Prophet ﷺ, he was asked on different occasions, who do you love more than anybody else? He said, Aisha, I love her. And they said, no, we mean from the men. He said, her father. The point was that what? His most beloved. He said, purchase yourself from the hellfire, my wife. I'll take care of you. I'll look out for you. I'll guide you. I'll do whatever was in my responsibility. But purchase yourself from the fire by you being responsible, by you doing what you need to do and taking care of what's your responsibility. Because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when we stand in front of Allah, who's going to be with you? And I'm asking you all, who's with you when you stand in front of Allah? Yourself. Yourself. And then the second thing we said was what? What was the second thing, y'all? That you take care of the others around you. And when I say the others around you, I don't mean your classmates, I don't mean your colleagues and co-workers. Specifically, I mean the family people, the people that are close to you, that are in your life. Because that's a good marker and indicator practically, not just by lip service, not somebody just simply telling me, but that I can, empirically, I can be like, all right, I see how he is with his mom, I see how she is with her dad, I see how they are with their siblings. That's a good marker and indicator. And then third thing is that a marker and indicator that somebody is ready is that they are more focused on being the spouse or the right spouse more than they're focused on finding the right spouse. They are focused on being the right spouse more than they're focused on finding the right spouse. Obviously, you have to look for someone who has certain characteristics, their values align with your values, that you like the way that they look, etc., right? But that should not be the focus, which all too often people are more focused on others instead of them fixing themselves, developing themselves, growing themselves, so that they can be somebody who's worthy. So a brother, when a brother comes and says, I want to marry this man's daughter, that the father will look him up and down and say, you are worthy to be the husband to my daughter. They oftentimes don't think like that. Brothers don't think like that. I tell you, more often than not, the conversation I have with young brothers, and this is no slight to brothers, but it is what it is. Brothers just tell them, they be like, shit, man, it's hard out here. You know what I'm saying? These sisters with this feminist thinking, college educated, and these sisters think they go run the household and so on and so forth and etc. Like, okay, well, are you preparing yourself? Are you learning about how to be a good, upright, righteous man? And then on top of that, in that process, you're going to find a sifting and sorting process on what kind of woman you need. But oftentimes they don't. They don't. And they have unrealistic expectations. Which brings me to my next point, and this is the last one, is having realistic expectations and being mature in those expectations. Oftentimes people have a lot of unrealistic expectations and misconceptions. A few examples. Some people think that when I get married, their expectation is that the marriage is going to fix me. It's going to make me righteous. It's going to make me good. That is not a realistic expectation. If you have problems in your own deen personally, you need to fix those yourself. Not looking for the husband to fix it and not looking for the wife to fix it. That is very dangerous and it is problematic. It is something that you have to fix because that's between you and who, everybody? Your deen, your iman is between you and who? It's between you and Allah. You cannot expect your husband to fix that, and you cannot expect your wife. So if you're struggling to wake up for Fajr, if you're struggling to pray Salat on time, if you're struggling to do the different fundamental things of Islam that make us Muslims, you may not be ready. That's one of the misconceptions. Another misconception is that my husband or my wife is supposed to be the cause of my happiness. And that once I get married, I'm going to be happy. That is somebody who has immature thinking and is not understanding. Because if they're looking for their happiness from their husband or their wife and solely basing it on that, they are looking in the wrong place. Again, that is supposed to stem from your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because sometimes your husband is going to piss you off. And sometimes your wife is going to make you upset, where you don't feel the same way you did the day that y'all got married or the night that y'all got married. You may not feel that way. And so your happiness, it ain't static. It's not going to stay the same. So you shouldn't be looking for her that she's going to make me happy and that's the end all, and vice versa. And mainly where that should come from is your own personal mindset. So for example, if you look at what's mentioned about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam, who was away, and his son who was married, he comes and he visits him on an occasion. All right? And when he does, Ismail is out of the house. He's out, going, working, looking for sustenance and his rizq for him and his family. So Ibrahim speaks to the wife and he says, where is Ismail? She says, oh, he's out. And he asks, how is your life? How are things going? How's the family? And she complains. Things are tight. We don't have enough. It's hard out here. You know, he's out there struggling, but we're struggling in the household. We're struggling in the household. And so he tells her, listen, when Ismail comes back, just let him know that somebody came by and tell him to change the threshold of his door. So Ismail comes, he noticed something a little bit different. And he says, did something happen while I was gone? She says, yes, this old man came and he was asking about you. And I told him what's going on. And he said, change the threshold of your door. He said, that was my father, Ibrahim. And the threshold is you. And he's saying that I need to change the threshold. And so he left her. He divorced her, gets married again. Then the same thing happens a while later. Same situation, different woman, wife of Ismail. Ibrahim comes, asks, where's Ismail? He's out looking for our sustenance. How's life going? Alhamdulillah, we're in ni'mah. Alhamdulillah, he's out looking for our rizq, but alhamdulillah, we're doing well. Things are okay. And then he says, when he comes home, you tell him, keep the threshold to his house. Keep the threshold to his house. Same thing happens. Ismail comes back home, something happened, what's going on? Old man came and he said, keep the threshold of the house, or keep the threshold to the door, excuse me. He says, that was my father. And he said, or what he's saying is that you, my wife, the threshold, that I should keep you, that essentially that you're a keeper. Now, These two are married to the same man. They're in the same circumstance and situation, same means, but their mindset and how they're looking at their life is completely different. And so their happiness is not necessarily stuck to or attached to, but it has to go back to their mindset and the way they see things. And so, inshallah, obviously there's a lot that to be said. The last thing that I want to say, inshallah, if they'll permit me to say, sister, inshallah, is, and this is something that I always have to say at every conference and every gathering like this, is that you all are going to be hearing a lot of beneficial, useful information from experts, from people who are in the field, who deal with these things that they're talking about and discussing on a daily basis. However, you need to put a conference in the right place. This is just that. It is to introduce you to topics and information and experts and network with the people who are in those fields, so that when you leave here, that you know, oh, there's Imam so-and-so at such and such a masjid, and there's workshops, and there's classes, and there's halaqat, and there's counseling services that I can go to benefit. This is just to introduce you, but it is not the end all. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put blessing in what's been mentioned here and may accept from all of us. Wa akhir da'wan, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.
Jazakallah khair al-jazaa, Shaykh Ilyas Ali. We'll go to our next session, inshallah, and at the end, we'll have any questions right now. Please note it down or keep a memory note of your question, and we will have hopefully the microphones out there. Next session, inshallah, Shah Abdullah Khashi, we will be talking about the approach to marriage. Very important question or topic, and I will add a question for your session is, can a girl approach a guy and how?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Should I start with answering the question, or should I answer the question later? What do you think? Inshallah, I will answer the question inshallah later in my speech, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, I was one of the speakers in the Somali section of the Mu'tamar, and all over the sudden they throw me into this topic. I'm not sure if I was in the list before. I never saw that, and no one told me. But anyway, I will be talking about 5 points, inshallah ta'ala. And I want you to stay with me and see the points I'm talking about. Number one, who am I talking to? Who's my audience? I want to answer that question, inshallah. Number three, if I am ready to go for marriage, where should I start? Number three, how should I choose the right person? Number four, what we call an-nadratu shar'iyya, looking at the person you are interested in. Can you see them? How and where? And we will talk about that, inshallah ta'ala. And in the end, how should I talk to someone? What should I ask them? Inshallah ta'ala. Answering the first question, inshallah ta'ala, I'm only talking to those who are intending to get married soon in their future. Those are my audience, inshallah ta'ala. So if you are not ready yet, you can just listen to entertain yourself. But my audience are those who are ready today, inshallah ta'ala. So where should I start? I'm ready, Sheikh, I'm ready, mashallah. Where should I start? I would say, before you do anything, take a fiqh marriage education course. That is step number one. that will prepare you for your future. The fiqh marriage course will teach you, as Sheikh Elias was indicating also, will teach you, number one, how to talk to someone, what are the rules of engagement, what's halal, what's haram, skills, it will give you skills, how to be a loving husband or a loving wife. It will teach you the responsibilities. What are your responsibilities? What are my rights and what are the rights on me? It will teach you the Prophet ﷺ as example for husband. So you know how the Rasulullah ﷺ was in his family, how he used to treat them as a husband. So my advice to you, and also I will share with you my experience, inshallah ta'ala, take Islamic fiqh course to educate yourself for your marriage before you even think about marriage. That's number one. Number two, okay, Sheikh, I took the fiqh marriage course, where should I start? I would say, inshallah ta'ala, you start what we call window shopping. Like you come to the mu'tamar, you look around. Who's around me? You go to the school, you see the sisters around you, who is there, who is there. You come to the masjid, and you look around, who is there. And that's the only time it's halal for you to look at women. To look at women. Because we are serious, you want to get married soon. Inshallah ta'ala. So that's number two. Number three, how should I choose the best person, the good person? I will share with you two hadiths from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One hadith is narrated by Imam Bukhari and others. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tunkahu al-mar'atu li-arba'in." Woman is married for 4 things. That's not the commendation from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's not saying you should look for 4 things. He's telling us the nature of mankind. The nature of the people. When they're looking for marriage, they look for 4 things. I'm looking for a woman, I look for 4 things. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم لمالها. Number 1, for her wealth. Some brothers, and I see that a lot today, they go after the woman's money. Oh, I want a sister who graduated from school, who done this, who has a good job. MashaAllah, I want to be sleeping. She will work for the family. She will bring money. And MashaAllah, we wish her because they know. Some of them, they are thinking that way. لمالها. Number 1. Number 2, ولحسبها, for her family status. When you want to talk to someone, you should, before you even know that person, you should see her family. Look at the family. You are not marrying only one person, you marry the whole family. It's like you marry the whole family. Who is her mother? Who is her father? Who is her sisters? You should look at the family. And also, when you talk to a brother, you should see his family. Who's his brothers? In this hadith, we are not talking about the qabil. Most parents today, they misunderstand the hadith. And they think the Prophet is talking about the family, which is the qabil. We don't worry about the qabil. And we don't care. And I know most of young brothers and sisters today, they don't care about the qabil. And we want you not to care about the qabil. Whether they are Somali or Oromo or Darod or Hawiye or Rahawain or Asharaf or Jarer or whatever you say. We don't care about the family. But we care. We don't care about the qabil, but we care about their parents. We care about who is there with them, who's influencing them. And that's something you should be aware of. And have you seen the debate about the mother-in-laws and this in the Somali media? And even some of our scholars, they were participating, they were taking part of that. And most of the sisters, they were saying, I hate the mothers-in-law. I don't want to see her. She cannot come into my house. So that's some of the steps you should be aware of. Before you even talk to someone, you should see their family. The Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, وَلِجَمَالِهَا, and also her beauty. And I'm not talking about this because every man, they think the woman they're talking is the most beautiful woman. That's what they think. Your mother may tell you, oh, I don't like this woman. She's not the type I want. Oh, mama, this is my type. I want her. She looks good. So when we say, every person has a standard to check, to see that person. Maybe you see this person and I see it differently. So we value your opinion. So when my child comes to me and say, I want to talk to this girl, and I see her and I say, oh, this is not the type I want, I will always consider his choice also, and her choice. Imagine when you want to marry a brother, and your mom see him the first time, and she says to you, oh, this is not the man I want. How do you feel? Do you care? Yes or no? Yes? MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. But I think you only care when you are in the muhadara. The reality, most of this today, I don't think they care. The reality. I will take my busta, wallahi, I will go with him. هديك الوقت يقولنيسا. You pressure them until in the end they agree with you. Okay, if you don't do that, you are mashallah. Mashallah, you are angel, you are from somewhere else. The Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, وَلِدِينِهَا, and also for her religion, for her deen. He mentioned all the four. In the end, the Rasulullah ﷺ said, فَاظْفِرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ فَاظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكَ. So you should marry the religious woman, otherwise you will be the loser. Take the one has deen. And underline this word, deen. So when I want to get the best person in my life, I will check the deen. That's number one. What is deen in this hadith? Do we mean the hijab? Do we mean the qamis? Do we mean he comes in the masjid and he prays in the jama'ah? She comes in the halaqah. What's the deen in the hadith? The deen in the hadith means someone who knows the basics of the Islam and practice. I'm not talking about hafid or hafida. I know some sisters, when they know something, they ask the brothers, what do you know? One of the brothers, my students, he came to me, that was a long time ago. He said, Sheikh, he has kitab. I don't know, you guys, you only teach sisters. I say, why? I was talking to this sister and she said, how long you have been in the masjid? I said, so long time. She said, can you explain this kitab for me? Aqidah kitab. And I couldn't. And I want to take an intensive course now for Aqidah. For Aqidah. Because sisters are asking today, what do you know about the deen? That's very good, mashallah. When you ask the brother, come and read this hadith and explain to me. So basic hadith. That's very good. But in this hadith, we are not talking about how much of the deen they know. The hadith talks about who apply the deen in their life. So someone who knows the halal and haram and does the halal and stay away from the haram. And when I'm talking about this, if anyone, this is only for the sisters. I don't want the brothers to hear this. Okay? If any brother talks to you about marriage and he tries to put his hand on you, touch you, don't marry him. Don't marry him. He's a thief. He's a liar. Wallah. He will go after other women also. And he will try to touch every woman. So you should know who has deen and who has not, according to the hadith. The Rasulullah recommended the last one, فَضْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ. Take the one that has deen. Umar radiallahu anhu, a man came to Umar, and Umar, he was looking about the background of one of the people around him. He said, who knows this guy? One man said, oh, I know him, he's a good guy. Very nice guy. Umar asked him a question, he said, hey, did you travel with him? He said, no. Did you test him with money? Money. هو قال هل جربته بالدرهم والدينار? Do you test him with a dirham and dinar? He said no. Means have you had business or something with him? He said, have you been neighbor? He said no. هو قال لعلك رأيته يرفع رأسه ويخفض in the masjid. Maybe you saw him in the masjid making ruku' and sujood, and you think he's a good man. He said, yes. He said, you don't know him. You don't know him. So once you see nice brother with a nice kameez, mashallah, nice kufir, mashallah, don't think he's a good guy. When you see sister with hijab, mashallah, nice hijab, don't think she's a good sister. The other hadith is hadith that Rasulullah said, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. When someone come to you, a brother come to you, and you are happy with their deen and with their akhlaq, with their character, marry him, marry them. Check the akhlaq and the deen. That's number one. Then here comes another shar'iyya. You should see the person, look at them. A man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, I proposed to this sister of Ansar and I went to marry her. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن نظرت إليها. Did you look at her? He said, no. قال انظر فإن في أعين الأنصار شيء. Look at her because there is something wrong with the Ansar's eyes. Look at her carefully. See her. You can ask her. The brother's always asking me, how about if she puts makeups or something, and she look different now? I would say, hey, I want to talk to you. Tomorrow, come to me without no makeup. Well, I would say that. Be clean. Look nice, but no makeup. I want to see who you are. Can you ask someone to meet you because you want to look at her? I would recommend you when you're looking at someone, you want to see someone, don't tell her. Because that's kind of embarrassing. Don't tell her, I want to check you. But use other means to see her. To see her. Can you ask picture? Yes. Okay. So another shar'iyya. We should know the rules and how and where. That's hadith from the Umrah. The last one. How should I talk to the person I want? That's one of the most important topic in this. How should I talk to someone? What should I do? What's the first step? Should I just to go to their house? Say, Assalamu alaikum, I want to talk to you. One of the brothers I know, he grew up in Saudi Arabia, Arab countries, and he had some different culture than the one we see now. Muhammad Jiray, wallahi, he used to tell us, wallahi, when I'm talking to sister, I will talk to her directly. So he will stop someone, Salaam alaikum sister, I want to marry you. Muhammad said, A'udhu billah, you're shaitan. Leave me alone. I'm not talking to you. You crazy guy. Then he will stop someone, Salaam alaikum sister, I want to talk to you. About what? Married. I don't even know you. Then, wallahi, this is a true story. Then he said one of the days, he was up there, and he met with sister, says, Salaam alaikum sister, on the street. She said, Wa alaikum assalam, I want to marry you. What do you think? She said, brother, is there something wrong with you? He said, no, I'm okay. Why are you talking to me like this? He said, because this is the way I believe. She said, okay, what's your name? So and so. What's your phone number? So and so. I will think about this. She went to ask the people, who knows this brother? They say, this is the best guy. And she married him. And they have kids now. They have kids now. That's one of the ways. You're a man, tough man, go. Salaam alaikum sister, I want to talk to you. Or I would say, go to her father in the masjid and put adar perfume for him, bring a adar for him, tusbah for him. Adar, salaam alaikum, adar, salaam alaikum. Then he will know you. MashaAllah, this is good, MashaAllah, this is good kid. Then next time you go to his house, adar, I want to talk to your daughter. That's one of the ways you may do. You can also ask your teacher or someone you trust to facilitate a meeting between you and that person. Can a sister propose for a brother? No. I would say no. Why? May experience. When sister go after the brother, he will never marry her. That's the culture of man. You can be smart and propose him in other way. But when you come face to face, oh brother, I love you, I want you. No. صح مية مصاخرة. صح. Yeah. Wallahi, that's my experience. I have been teacher more than 20 years now, 25 years. And I know kids and the brothers and the sisters. So if you're interested in someone, don't go to him directly and propose him as a sister. That will not work. Most of the cases. You can go to someone you trust or someone knows him and tell them to facilitate a meeting or something with him or talk to him in some different way. But not directly. The nature of man is to talk directly to women and chase them. But that's not the opposite. The other way. That's something secret I'm telling you. You are my daughters, I love you. Inshallah, don't do that. That's my advice to you. The only man that may marry you, maybe if he's interested in your wealthy, money or something. He will say, oh yeah, she has a good job, mashallah. And later on he will say, oh, she was after me, she was chasing me. So be careful. You should respect yourself, always. The more you try to respect yourself, the more man will interest you. The more man wants you is when he sees you. You are someone who is independent and who is not after someone. Wallahi, they will come to you. They will come to you. And finally, inshallah ta'ala, the kids, the brothers and sisters, they ask me always, when I'm meeting someone in the first time, what should I ask them? What should you ask someone? What are the matter? I'll end with this. Number one, inshallah, after the salam, assalamu alaikum, ask them some basic questions. Like, كيف حالك, how are you? And what's your family? Ask them about their family. How many siblings he has or she has. Which number they are. The youngest always troublemaker. The oldest always slow. She's kind of slow. The number 3 is the toughest one. So you should know which number they are in the family. Wallah. I've seen this a lot. Ask them which number they are in the family. A good question could be how they see the parents. What is their relationship with their parents? How you see your mom? How you see your father? If they respect their fathers and their mothers, they will respect your father and mother. You know that. Don't try to cut that person from their family. Try to see someone that connected with their family, and they will be connected to the family. That's the reality. Marka aragti wiilka asagoo baaqi ah, when you see that humble brother for his mom, wallahi markuu ku dhaho ninka, no one can be between me and my mom. You should say that's good brother. No one can replace the same mom. That's good brother. That's good brother. And as a woman, I should respect the man that tells me no one can be between me and my mom. So my mom's number 1. My mom's number 1. He will make your mom number 1 too. لكن هدوك كله أملا or you will be number 1. That's the truth. One good question could be, what is their perception about marriage? How you see family life? What's your expectations? What do you want a woman for? Oh, I want a woman who cooks. One of the brothers told me, oh, the first question I asked him, sister, can you cook? Most of them, you know, they talk about something. Now they're all talking about, I want a woman who serves for me. I want you to get up before me, cook the Quran for me, clean the house, and I will be the man in the house. If he tells you that in the beginning, it's your choice. It's your choice. It's your choice. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, Shahbazar. The last, could say a few things about, I think the timer was set to 2 hours, that's why I didn't go off, sorry. Should have been 15 minutes. But the last part, the reason why some of the brothers are concerned with this is because they're so tired about paying for outside food. And what happens often is that, and this could be a joke, but when they marry some of the choices that they make, now they, instead of going out to eat for one person, they go out to eat for 2 people. So it's not economical. And the part about the youngest, I don't know what he said about the youngest, but that was a sausage because I'm the youngest in the family. Next, our next speaker, inshallah, relationship coach from all the way Canada, Eid al-Khair. In the previous session, she had a lot of very good points. Her talk was very short, but at the same time, seemed we've benefited a lot from her. And hopefully we can benefit more from her, inshallah. And then the questions and answers.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I want to start off by saying, Alhamdulillah, we give praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has allowed us to all be here together. My last talk was about journey, and hopefully, inshallah, here we will journey together. There's a lot of things that were spoken about on this side, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. So jazakallah khair, brothers, for that. My topic today is about your single season. It's one of my favorite topics. I should probably add that in there. I deal with couples and families. I deal with the whole family unit, basically. And what I study is human connection in general. And so I feel like that's something that we should all really focus on because regardless of who you are in this world or what type of relationships you're in, we have some sort of connection with all human beings, right? And so understanding your own journey and your own season that you're in is also super important. So, but my favorite clients are my single clients. And I think that they're my favorite because the couples are great, you know, we're helping them navigate through some problems and some issues that they're all having in the community, but the singles are my favorite because your single season is the best season of your life. I know that sounds, you know, really foreign to hear, but a lot of us put pressures, especially on the sisters, subhanAllah, in our community, and it's, she's single, something's wrong. You know, no man wants her, something's wrong, right? And subhanAllah, we forget that all of these things come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to put emphasis on the fact that your single season is the best season of your life is very important here today, inshallah. The reason why it's important, it's an opportunity for preparation, right? When you're single, subhanAllah, and if we look at our deen, many times we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the people that came before us, anytime that He was doing something in their life that was major, or any major changes that were happening from the Prophet ﷺ's time to up until now, seclusion is a beautiful thing. And usually when Allah wants to elevate you to another level, He secludes you, right? And so when you're single, you're secluded. And when you're not single, it's the complete opposite. When you have children and you have a spouse, your time no longer just only belongs to you. So right now, your single season is the best season of your life because it's a gift and it's a time frame that you most likely will never get back. Inshallah, hopefully. But, you know, going back to the importance of it, you have to actually study yourself. And I'm so happy that they gave me this topic today because the study of the self is something that is very foreign to a lot of us, right? We were never taught that from, you know, growing up in our childhood. We were never taught that you must study yourself, you must figure yourself out. Everything is very external in this world, right? You seek friends, you seek employment, you seek things, but nothing is very internal. But if you think about it, from your deen to your akhlaq, to your perspective, to your mindset, as the brother was saying, everything comes from you first, and then it's external. So we kind of have to do a lot of unlearning of what we've learned from social media to your childhood and all of these things. You have to unlearn these things first. So the study of self starts with unlearning, right? So just think about the fact that you live in a house. Right? If your house is not clean, you cannot live in that house. And so what you have to do is you have to clean up house. You have to sort yourself out. You have to figure these things out. How do you do that? The how-to is super important. I would say that if you're single right now and you're in your single season, start with 3 questions. And subhanAllah, it should be the same 3 questions that you will be asked in the grave. I'll say that one more time. While you're alive, ask yourself the 3 questions that you'd be asked in the grave. Who is your Lord? Right? Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? All of these things are things that you have to ask yourselves. Why? Because that's actually going to help you create the manual of your life as a single person, right? Who is your Lord? When you have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you hold on to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're clear on that, you have clarity, and everything else will then follow from there. You will know how to deal with the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in your life. You will know how to deal with your friends and your parents and the community, right? Now, what is your religion? Islam. If you're not clear on that, you have no business getting married. If you're not clear on that, you have no business getting married, okay? Because this is half of your deen, right? In your single season. Moving forward, how do you study yourself? I'm going to get into a few clinical things because I feel like we had so much hadith and so much Quran, as I was saying in my previous session, but you know, the clinical part is what we're missing in our communities. The part that we help people coach with is the part that's missing in our communities, and I hope inshallah that we can, you know, join forces with more masjids and more community centers and things like that to teach people. There's mechanical issues, right, and psychological issues and emotional, physical issues as well that we need to look at in your single season. Afmat kada, your health. Who are you as an individual? What are the buttons that you don't want people to press, right? What are the things that maybe you are struggling with as a human being? I love the word capacity. If you look at your capacity and what you can handle, right, then you can help other people in a qiyasan, you know, then everything else will, you know, flow very smoothly, inshallah. And so learning the mechanics of your own mental health, learning who you are as a human being, learning, you know, the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you so that you can even figure out who you are coupling up with, right? Those are very important things. And so when you do the study of self, you also have to understand this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. When you are questioned and you stand in front of your Lord, Allah is not going to bring all of your family members and your husband and your best friend. All of those people are not going to be standing there. right? And so you will die alone, you will also live alone, you will also be alone in many of these facets in your life. Even when you are married and you're getting married, it's two individuals that still have a self-responsibility, right? And so I say, everyone became empty cans these days. There's nothing inside people anymore, right? And so empty cans make a lot of noise. And we're making a lot of noise in the community, on TikTok, on Instagram, social media. Everyone has a microphone these days. But people don't have substance. People no longer have akhlaq. People no longer have the gananta, right? And so going back to who you are as a human being, once you're clear on that, then everything else goes clear. Now I'm going to go to the sisters, inshallah, so that I can make this short and sweet, as the brother said. I know we're a little tight on time. But for the sisters, your major power in life is becoming an emotionally regulated woman. Alhamdulillah, Allah has created us a certain way. Once you understand your fitrah and the way Allah has created you, then you can blossom. We no longer need to compete with the opposite gender. You will never be a man, right? You are a woman. So why not become the best version of yourself first, right? Why not understand that our lane is the best lane that you can possibly be in? To be quite honest, right? You're a woman, you have the capacity to give birth. You have the capacity to go through things. You have the capacity to also be soft and gentle and elegant. You have the capacity of modesty. There's so many beautiful things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. I would never want to be anything else but a woman, right? And so understanding your value and what you will bring to a family is important, but this is the season that you can do that. It's not the season to just go have fun and have friends and I have free time. No such thing. This is a time where figure out what type of mother you want to be. Figure out what type of daughter you want to be. When you strengthen the relationships that you have now with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the people that are in your life, marriage will become an add-on. Marriage will become something that you can handle. Everything else can become something that you can handle. The things that you do for your mother, do it fully now. And then once you become a mother, then inshallah you can continue to add other things, right? This is a time to educate yourself. This is a time, it's not a time to just wait around and say, one day a man is going to pay my bills. Khadija radiallahu anha was the biggest businesswoman I know, right? She didn't wait for nobody. And by the way, she had previous marriages before the Prophet ﷺ. So when he met her, she was an established woman, right? And so no one has to define who you are for you. Alhamdulillah, your parents, mother and father, what did they do? They raised you up until now. You still have to raise yourself. You still have to parent yourself. You still have to keep yourself accountable. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you about your affairs on the Day of Judgment, not your parents and nobody else. If we want to see young women become great mothers, right? We also have to show them now their capacity of responsibility. We have to show them now that self-care is a mandatory thing. When you become a mother, you're going to have to learn how to sort your time out. Are you a woman who respects time? Are you a woman who respects her 5 daily prayers? Are you a woman that wakes up in the middle of the night because when she has certain affairs that are not going well in her life, she knows who to go and ask, right? Be a businesswoman even if you have no business. Let your life be your business, right? Become someone who has self-mastered your singlehood so that the marriagehood that's coming is going to be nothing but khair and a blessing, right? A lot of us are lost and most couples have issues because when a woman is in a marriage, right, and she holds such a big space, it's a young girl that has the responsibility now of a woman. She's unprepared for this womanhood. Right? So what happens? Then the man has to become her father figure and then he has to teach her. But then he cannot then have a spouse that is his purpose partner in life. So we no longer have to operate from a place of lack. If we can actually do our part the right way, alhamdulillah, go to a coach, figure it out. Basketball people, that's what they do. All these sports fanatics and all these people, they prepare. They have seasons where they prepare and do nothing but preparing for what's coming. Right? And so alhamdulillah, as the brothers were saying, okay, nobody needs to touch your money. Nobody needs to, tamper with the things that you're going to build. But that's not why you're gaining the knowledge. The Quran should be something that you have finished at a certain age so that when you have children, what are you going to teach them? You're going to be an empty can and an empty cup? Right? And so the next thing I want to talk to females about is about alignment. The brother had a very specific question that was asked, and I was sitting in my chair, couldn't wait to get up here and tell you guys what I feel about it, okay? Women seeking marriage. My Instagram DMs and my emails are filled with, sister, how do I find a man? Sister, how do I find a man? Sister, how do I find a man? Find yourself, and the man will come and find you. You don't need to find anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already prescribed for you exactly who will be your, half of your deen and who will be your husband. Become the best version of you. Become an undeniable woman that every man would seek and want. Know your value, right? And then you'll have a whole bunch of offers and knocks on your father's door, inshallah. No need to worry about that, right? And for the brothers, your lane is also super clear. Now that I spoke to the sisters, I'll go to the brothers. When you are single, a lot of brothers, the first time they ever pay a bill is when they get married. SubhanAllah. Right? And a lot of people that come to my office and they want help, the brothers don't have the capacity for the responsibility that Allah has put on them. He knows He can handle it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you can handle it, but the preparation also needs to be there. Right? Having the responsibility is something that the brothers spoke about, but you have to be clear about it. It's not just about what you want. Right, in this world. Yes, every brother, he wants to get married and he wants to be a husband. But the husband role is so big. And I know a lot of times in social media, we talk a lot about, men are nothing these days, or they're negative, and, but subhanAllah, we also don't uplift our brothers and we don't talk highly of them either. And usually for men's psychology, I think the brothers would agree with me, when you encourage a man, he usually does better. When you complain to a man, he's most likely going to do the opposite. Or if you chase a man, he's most likely going to do the opposite, right? There's polarity, there's certain ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. So for the brothers, study who you are. Study who you are as a man. And when it comes to submission, a woman will always submit to a healthy masculine man. She has no choice because you are in your lane, you know who you are, you're clear in your conduct, you are completely leading this family through the relationship that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when a woman knows that her man is 10 steps ahead of her, she can relax, be in her feminine lane and do her part. Right? So I think complementing one another and understanding where we stand is very important. And so I wanted to specify that for the brothers. I think you guys are extremely valuable human beings. You might not hear that most often. You're extremely powerful in your own lane. And I want you guys to really, really, really cultivate that. Before you even think about having a family, think about yourselves. Think about where you want to be 10 years from now. When you have a plan, it's easy to then get the family that will follow that plan, inshallah. And always hold firm to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because if you don't have that, you have nothing. My second point about love and relationships, because I know a lot of singles are very, interested in this, is you have to love from a place of release. Let's get clear on one thing. You didn't create these people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everyone, right? You didn't create this man, you didn't create this woman. And so loving people from a place of release and not obsessing over them is something that you need to do. And usually what you release to Allah comes back to you in tenfolds, right? And Allah will test you with your money, with your children, with your life, with all the blessings He's given you. He will also test you to see what you're made out of. So prepare yourselves for this test. When you have children, these children don't belong to you. SubhanAllah, tomorrow, I have a son, he's turning 9 inshallah very soon. And if my son passes away tomorrow, I'm going to wrap him up and we're going to perform the janazah and I'm going to return him to his Lord. That's love, believe it or not. It's love knowing that these people belong to Allah and they're only here for a very short amount of time. But you yourself has to love yourself first before you can love anyone else. So let's cultivate that. Let's allow ourselves to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proud of us. And I'm going to leave you guys with 3 things. 3 R's that I share with all of my clients and all the people that meet me all around the world. It's the 3 R's that I share with everyone. It's relax, release, and receive. If you don't relax, you won't even allow the things that should be, flourishing in your life to actually occur. You need to relax. A lot of us are living with a lot of anxiety. We're having children that have mental health issues. We're having, a whole bunch of homes that are on fire. We need to relax and figure things out. Then you need to release. You need to release your expectations. It's not up to you anyways. Your life is not up to you. It's influenced by you. Once you release these things, release the trauma. Let's release the fact that, we have to act like we're so perfect. No, we're not. We have a lot of issues in our community. Becoming solution-oriented people. If you have children with autism, if you have children that have Down syndrome, go get them the help just like the other communities are doing that. Right? And so when you release all these expectations of pleasing the people and we only attach ourselves to pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything else will flourish. Now, the last part is receiving. Once you relax, once you release and you do the work, you will receive by the haqq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. He will give you what you need. He will give you what you want and everything that you're looking for. So inshallah, let's relax, let's release, and then may we all receive what Allah has in store for us. Jazakallah khair for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was very powerful. May Allah reward her. Another round of applause for Idil. With that, with the 15 minutes that we have, I want to get as many questions as we can in. My first question, and if we can get 2 volunteers, please, one from the brothers and one from the sisters to pass around microphones. Okay, so I will say my first question. I'm part of the audience, so I have questions too. So the sisters, if there's a question, and then if there's the brothers, if there's a question. Is that young boy has a question over there? He's about 6 years old. He might have a question about marriage.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. He might be asking for someone. The brother over there, is it Abdurrahman? No? Okay, that brother with the red imama and one of the sisters, we go with the sisters first, since there are more sisters. And hold on, don't give him the mic yet. Don't give him the mic yet. Sisters, question? I know there are questions, but my question is, first of all, both of you, Sister Ida and Abdul mentioned the brothers, I'll get to you. The sister not approaching. A lot of people might have decided, what about Khadija? What about the wife of Musa alayhi salam bin Shu'aib? Them making the approaches. So that is one question. And directly, I mean, that was, the Sheikh at least said not directly approaching, but is there an indirect approach? There was a survey that we did as Mr. Dar es Salaam last year. It was about 400 people took the survey, and I think that the biggest question from the survey was, since the survey already answered it, it was the difficulty of finding the right spouse. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 93% out of the 440 people, I think it was, more than 400 people, out of 93% they said it was very difficult to find the right spouse. And on a question of what is the biggest obstacle to marriage right now, what is your biggest obstacle to getting married? There were a number of choices: finance, education, right person, family. And the top answer was 55% finding the right person. So that seems to be a trend, finding the right person. And the answer was, as sister said, find yourself first, right? Discover yourself first, and then the right person will come. My number one question is, my original question, from that survey, about 70% said they're open to nikah before marriage. So if you're a student, male, female, you're both students, you're going to college, but you want to get married first. You're not maybe financially ready, you don't have an apartment yet, but to preserve your desires, is it okay, as some cultures do, to get nikah first, and then stay with each other as an engaged couple, and then when you're ready, move in together? So that's my first question to all of the speakers. I don't know who would want to answer that question first. And then sisters, do you have a question? Okay.
I have a question about it's during marriage. I was wondering, like, usually when you're married, is it best to wait to have children or have children immediately after getting married?
We can't hear you. Can you speak a little louder?
Sorry. I have a question about during the marriage. Is it best to wait to have children like after getting married or have kids immediately after getting married?
Okay, so it's family planning. Family planning. Is it okay to have kids right away or?
Should we wait?
Yes. Yes, family planning. Okay. So the first question, you want to take my question first. The nikah.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. About the Khadija case, can women propose, and how Khadija did, Sheikh Ilyas will answer that. MashaAllah. Because he didn't talk about the topic, I will see his opinion, okay? About the nikah part, as in my experience as an imam about now 25 years or so, I saw cases in the community. I would say no. never allow your daughter to make nikah with someone unless he's entering her. Unless he's entering her. Unless he's taking her to his house. Why? Most of the cases I know, they end with failure, with fashion. Because when the man see the woman, it's hard. So I would say don't allow your daughter to marry someone unless he's taking her to his house. That's and I will tell the sisters, inshallah, and I will tell the brothers, inshallah. Brothers, I know most of them, you want that because you want easy cake. Okay, but in the most of the families they don't last longer. They even divorce each other before they even go in their house.
Good.
And I know many cases. So I will say no. Okay.
The next question. About the approach.
So the question was asked of the Sheikh earlier, or he mentioned it. He mentioned, can a woman approach the man with the interest of marriage? And I asked the question because I'm sure many people thought, because the Sheikh, he said no, per his advice. Not as a fatwa, but as his advice from his lengthy, on-the-ground community experience, he said it's not a good idea. And I'm sure for many people, they're like, well, didn't Khadija radiallahu anha approach the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And didn't, and then even the moderator, brother Qutbi, he mentioned, and what about Musa alayhi salam and his wife? And so I said, I asked the question so that the Sheikh could further elaborate and explain that Khadija radiallahu anha, she did not go directly, herself, personally, up to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, like the anecdote, like the story that he told of the brother who would go up to women and say, hey, I want to marry you. Khadija radiallahu anha, she did not do this. Although it was initiated from her side, the advice of the Shaykh was that you go indirectly, which is exactly what Khadija radiallahu anha did. She sent someone else on her behalf as a representative to ask the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they initially didn't even ask him directly, do you want to marry Khadija? They asked and inquired, are you interested in getting married? And so just going along with what the Shaykh he mentioned, that is actually the way that Khadija radiallahu anha did it. She initiated, but she did indirectly. And so that's still according to the Sunnah, the way that the Shaykh he mentioned. The second thing, the same with Musa alayhi salam. It was not his wife. She did not go up to Musa alayhi salam and say, hey, I want to marry you. But she tells him, my father wants to talk to you. And it's the father who asks directly about the marriage. So I just wanted to mention that, but the Shaykh he put the ball in my court. Barakallah feek.
Okay. The next question from the sister was family planning after marriage. Is it a good idea to have kids right away or to wait? I think that was the question, right? Okay.
I just wanted to know, was she asking in context of they already have kids? Or she said something about waiting. So was it like newlyweds, you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Newlyweds, okay. Bismillah. So when it comes to family planning, I deal with a lot of couples that are newlyweds, and some of them say, you know what, we're going to take some sort of, medical contraceptive, and we're going to wait 1 year, and, a lot of these things have side effects, and later on, 1 year later, the girl finds out, subhanAllah, I'm having some of the side effects of the medication, and I no longer can have children, and it causes a lot of divorce. So that's one. Two, family planning is something that is an Islamically sound thing. There's nothing wrong with it, right? If you and your husband feel like, okay, maybe we can wait, there's so many ways that you can wait, right? But I feel like the reason why you're waiting should also be sound. It shouldn't just be, hey, we want to go and, travel the world and just have fun, and, that's why we don't want children. Because you'll realize on the other spectrum, there's people who can't have children. And another thing that I would say is get tested for all of the things in your body and the functionalities of those things. When you are a newlywed couple, or I prefer premarital counseling. When I do that, I tell them, hey, go to the clinic, figure things out. The brothers get a little bit uncomfortable of, testing themselves out and figuring out, what their count looks like and, what their health looks like, and some of the sisters as well. But know the functionalities of the family planning before you even do the family planning. Once you get married, if you're a newlywed couple and you want to wait, inshallah. If it has to do with health reasons, if it has to do with the fact that maybe you guys don't have the finances yet, you are responsible as a couple to do right by the children that will come, inshallah, right? So I think doing family planning according to the Quran and Sunnah is okay. Doing it the way that, some of these other doctors will tell you to do it, I don't agree with. So plan your family accordingly and prepare financially, psychologically, spiritually for the children that are coming. But, so long as the husband and the wife are okay with the family planning, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Good. Jazakallah. With that, I will add the ambassador, Somali ambassador to India. He's, I think Abdullah knows him, Ahmad. He visits here often, and he said one of the most common people that he sees in India, Somali people or Muslim people from the community, is that people who initially wanted to do family planning, sisters started taking contraceptives and whatnot, and now she can no longer have kids. And now they want to do procedures to have kids, IVF and all those kind of stuff. So IVF and that type of procedures, and it's more common in India. So he said that's what a lot of people are visiting for. They made that choice in the first place.
Can I add one thing? I'm so sorry, sister. I wanted to add one more thing. One of the reasons why people get married is also to have offspring.
Yes. Right.
When you say رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا, you are asking Allah to not only allow your spouse to be the coolness of your eyes, but your children, your legacy. Being a mother is the most fulfilling things that any woman could ever experience, and being a father is one of the most fulfilling things that a man can experience. And children strengthen that bond, and it's one of the biggest things is to increase the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. To have more healthy, beautiful, righteous children is one of the biggest riches that you can have. So just wanted to add that for you, inshallah.
And the younger brother, we were about 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I just want to say, just in particular regarding the family planning. So this was, the only thing that I wanted to add is about planning because of finances. Mm-hmm. As Muslims, we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is Ar-Razzaq, that He is the one who provides, and that the rizq is written for every single person. And all of the other reasons that were mentioned previous, that, for example, wanting to get to know the husband, and the husband wanting to get to know the wife, them getting comfortable with each other, all those are perfectly valid and good reasons, and sometimes may even be encouraged. However, but for the financial reason, this is something that is spoken about in the Quran on multiple occasions, and this is not a reason to practice family planning, because it speaks to the mindset that I am the one who takes care of my children, I am the one who financially provides, when in reality we are simply a means, and it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who provides. I just wanted to add that, but everything else, mashallah, tabarakallah, was, on point. Alhamdulillah. Allah Akbar.
Jazakallah, that young brother.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. My name is Ibrahim and I have a question. So, my question is, you see someone that you like and you want to marry that person, what do you do? And before marriage, anything before marriage is haram. Having a girlfriend or boyfriend, that's haram. You see someone that you like and you want to marry that person, what do you do? That's my question.
You do your research first and foremost, because what you see might not be what you need. A lot of people go after what they want, and attraction is something that fluctuates often, right? And so men are visual, no problem. You see a sister, you think that, she's beautiful, there's many great things about her, but you need to do your research. We live in a community for a reason. Find out what type of household she grew up in. A lot of divorces are because of childhood traumas. When a husband and a wife are dealing with each other, usually it's the 2 5-year-olds that are fighting, right? And especially in therapy. So if you're a young brother, and if you have what it takes first, and you have done your own evaluation of you're ready for this, then you approach things the right way. She has people. Every woman has soldiers around her. You go find those soldiers, you ask them questions, and you deal with it the way that you would want your daughter to be dealt with. I think that's my answer to that.
Okay, shukran. One sister and then the brother here, the younger brother. If you could take the mic. Do we have a sister on the slide? I lost track of the microphone. Where's the sister? Where's the mic? Oh, is there a question over there?
Yeah.
Yes, and then there's a sister right there in the middle. And then we'll conclude with you, I promise. You're too close, you can see.
So the sister asked, what if you have kids every single year? The sister asked, what if you have kids every single year and you want to take a break? Are you allowed to?
Sister Ellen, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, there's this thing that I see in a lot of our, Somali households or Muslim households in general, and a lot of people believe in, quantity and not quality for some reason, right? And yeah, you're supposed to increase the ummah, but that doesn't mean, go have 15 children that you don't have the capacity to take care of them, right? And so having a child every year, going back to what the brother said about mindset, I think we are very focused on, reproducing, but then what happens is we're producing a whole bunch of children that you didn't have the capacity to give your all to, right? Can you do that? Now, if you have the financial means and you have the emotional, psychological needs to, or the ability to go and reproduce on that level, having children every single year, understand that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also needs you to take care of those children. So are you okay as a mother? We have a lot of women that deal with postpartum depression. We have a lot of women who deal with a lot of issues, mental health issues later on because they are having children every single year, right? And so giving your body its haq is number one priority first before the children. The children will come, whether you like it or not, even if you're trying to prevent it. So are you someone that can handle that? I think that's the conversation that we should be having, not about, the merit that comes with having children every single year. So I think, slowing down and having a life of quality and not necessarily quantity is more khayr than just, trying to have all of these kids. The more kids you have, the more Allah will ask you about these children. So do inventory of your households and do what you can do.
Shukran. One question from the sister, and I promise this brother here question. Asr break, I think we have to go. So go ahead, sister.
She said, can you touch a man while you're engaged?
Can you what?
Can you touch a man while you're engaged?
Men that you
are engaged to.
Can you touch
sister, let me tell you something. You have to wear your hijab and practice social distancing. Okay? That's one. Two, if you want to touch him emotionally, psychologically, and give him information about, things that will help him grow as a man, touch him all you want. But when it's physical, you stay your distance, inshallah, and that is what's best for you and your modesty. Because let me tell you something, a woman's first and foremost responsibility is to her own modesty first. No man is supposed to necessarily protect your modesty for you other than respecting your own modesty, right? So it's your responsibility to, show up in that capacity in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with before any relationship. So that's a hard one for all of us.
Okay, engaged is different from nikah, I assume. It's the khutbah. Go ahead. If you want to add it.
Assalamu alaikum.
And then this is...
engagement. We call khutbah. Khutbah means when you're talking to someone. So when you're talking to someone, does not necessarily mean that person is mahram for you or he is different from any other man. So he is, and we're talking about halal and haram. So you should stay away from that man same way you will stay away from the other man. But if the nikah done, that's when you can tag, oh, that man is mahram for you. But before the nikah, as the sister she said, you should always keep distance from that man. And always, as much as you protect yourself, and as much as you value yourself, the other person will value you.
Good.
That's the reality.
Reality check.
I'll say this, okay.
Because, yes, 5 or 4. Better be a serious question, though.
It is absolutely. Okay. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Here's my question to you. Lately, in these recent times, men have been forced to deal with, you know how like you all know in Islam, like men have to pay set meher to a woman. Obviously, lately, women have been expanding meher to incredibly expensive prices that render people utterly bankrupt. Can you answer that?
That was a serious question.
It's a very emotionally driven question.
Well articulated. I think the question was, the meher has been raised very high.
Expensive in recent times, 50K, 100K.
Expensive. He said ridiculously expensive. The meher has been.
You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave men choice. Listen here, okay? Allah gave men choice. No one in the world, I don't know why men these days feel like you can even be pushed around by societal pressures. If you're a man of deen, you already have a code of conduct that you follow, right? And so a man participates in what he wants to participate in. A man is the one who's leading this thing. The woman can say whatever she wants to you. Your choice is, do you want to participate? Is this something that you want to soundly make a decision about? Do you understand? So understanding your power anyways, you need to kind of ignore all of those societal pressures and also choose the person that you want to be with. This is not about 50K and all of these other conversations. It shouldn't even be for you. It's not something that you should subscribe to, right? If you are a man of khayr and you want a woman of khayr, you will find a woman that is just in the things that she requests from you as a man. So all of these things, let's leave it to the other people and let's deal with what is in our reality. Coming back to that, inshallah.
I think you have about 10 years to go, so you could raise 50K in that 10 years.
He has emotional trauma about it already. SubhanAllah.
I want to add one small thing, inshallah. I always do nikah for the Somali families. And believe me, the mahar in the Somali culture today in Minneapolis is not that much.
Yes.
It's not that much. It's like 3,000, 5,000.
You got misinformed.
I was doing nikah for an Arab brother a couple of months ago. And you know what was the mahar? Was $15,000 in advance and $50,000 to pay later. Wallahi. That was the mahar. $15,000 in advance, they call muqaddam, and $50,000 to pay later. That was the nikah. Was Arab brother. And imagine Somalis and Oromos also the same. Muslims of all in this state, the average meher is 3,000, 5,000. That's not that much. And the good thing for the Somali brothers, they don't pay the meher unless you divorce the sister. That's the time they ask for the meher.
Okay, that's good and bad.
So you can keep it as a deal on you.
Yes, okay. The sister, last question. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. The sister talked about doing research before married on the boy or the girl or the woman or the man. But in Somali marriage or the Somali community, the marriage typically goes, you're introduced by an uncle or auntie or someone that you've known your entire life. And what happens is a girl is proposed to and she's told, hey, he's this great guy. Or a boy's told, hey, this girl is good. But they don't know anything about this person and they take it on a community mosque word or the family word, and then turns out it's not true. So psychologically and in deen, how do we navigate through this anxiety of this person not being who we're being told is?
Okay, first of all, you go to the one who created him. Okay? You get up in the middle of the night and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, you know and I know not. You have created this man, you know what's in him, and you hear conversations that I don't hear, right? You don't put your trust on human beings. And you also don't ever have to trust a man, actually. I think a lot of women are afraid of, I can't trust a man, you can't trust a man. Trust yourself. Trust that you will navigate this thing and that Allah has already given that to you and the fitrah is already within you, number one. Number two, istikhara. We have these things, you guys. We have these things for a reason in our deen so that we can use them as tools, right? Don't get distracted. Pray your istikhara and Allah will either put you in something that you needed and was khair, or even if it doesn't work out for you, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to learn a lesson, right? And so the mindset again, right? And understanding that everything is for you and never against you as a Muslim woman or a Muslim man. That's another thing. 3, you're talking about research because all these aunties and these uncles, maybe they won't tell you the truth, right? You go to his Duksi Ma'alim, You sit with his teachers.
References.
You sit and you ask him, does this man take his time seriously? Does he show up on time for his classes? Because a man who doesn't respect time will never respect you or yours, right? And so you do research from a very analytical, smart process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us to be smart women. We're very smart when we want to focus on something. Nobody beats us. We could be FBI agents if we wanted to, right? So ask the people that he has to show up for. Figure out his work ethic. Figure out his drive. Figure out his deen. Figure out all of these things. And then also, another thing that we have now that we didn't have before, right? Go to the link in my bio. Do premarital coaching and counseling. Go to people that study body language. You can't lie about that, I promise you, right? Go to the people that do this in real life, right? And so it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and then those steps, inshallah. May Allah make it easy for all of us.
Okay, with that, we'll conclude, inshallah. As much as we wanted to continue. Jazakumullah. Go.